Good afternoon and welcome to UMedTV. My name is Kemal Erkan. In today's episode, we are diving deep into some of the critical issues shaping our world, from healthcare updates to the US economy, global affairs, and today we are going to also do a closer look at BRICS again, which we have covered this so many times before. So there are so many different things we are going to be able to cover. We got a title show for you guys, and I'm going to ask Sean to join me. We don't have any guest speakers today, so it's just us. Sean, how are you doing?
Good.
You may need to turn the other one off, like you need to shut it down.
Laptop. There you go. Much better angle.
Been off for them for a couple of weeks, so it's
Got some renovation repairs done here, so everything's reconnected. And so we actually were off for 2 or 3 weeks as you were traveling, doing the repairs here. During that time we did have some of our highlight premiere sessions, and then also I know you were able to start the Turkey version of our 2 p.m. live session, which I guess it was 8 or 9 p.m. your time.
it was we did it earlier.
Okay, so it was prior to 2 p.m. here Eastern Standard. But so how did that version go? The initial
we got a lot of reaction, feedback from people, and it's been actually what's probably most watch videos probably is going to be because we have the live part of the video, and then as soon as after the live in the first 2 days there are organic watches, and this is one of the highest ones. So it was kind of interesting for me in a way because many people who don't actually go through the same experience, they don't understand why it was difficult. It was difficult because it was in Turkish. Well, that's where I was born and raised until I was 24. So, but the problem is, in time, your default language is changing. So when someone like me who learned English after age 24, I had to put extra effort to get to where I am today with my English. And as you know, we deal with a lot of other people, with some of our clients, doctors, and some of your classmates probably from college. They still struggle if they have to learn the second language. So once you do that switch to the default being English, so I'll tell you something very kind of funny in a way. In my dreams, my mom, my dad, most of the time they speak English, and they don't speak any English, right? So that's
then you're dreaming.
That can freak you out, but if you realize that it's a dream, or if it's not a dream, so like all of a sudden they start talking with an accent. So you think everything is perfect there. So, well, because of that, it was kind of I was nervous, as you know, when we have been doing these for almost 2 years now. Prior to you, we had another year and a half when I was doing it. So, we don't get, there's no, we're not nervous when we do it, but last week I was nervous. But I think we did a really good cover of United Medical, what United Medical does, especially for our employees who are hired in those offices. All the resources are in English. So I really wanted them to have something in Turkish so they can actually hear in their own language, so they have a good understanding of what we do. So the other thing is we were able to cover our bariatric program because one of our director of courses in Turkey, IMK, was with us as well, and we were able to give updates on the bariatric, updates on the ACO case conferences. So, and finally, we were able to talk about Dr. Erkan's book. As many of you know by now, we are planning to, it's almost at the final stage. The book will be published in Turkish. My goal was to complete that when I was there, but we had some issues on the translation of the book. couple of my really smart friends, they read it a little bit late. I wish they had read it earlier. So they came back to me with some major issues on the translation. So it's being now completed again, second time. So hopefully we should get it out in the next 4 to 6 weeks, I would say. So, but it was kind of interesting. So I do want to do that when I'm in Turkey. So from now, at least one of those weeks while I'm there, we would add our YouTube episodes from there in Turkish. So I think we'll be able to accomplish some. So today we have a lot of different topics. So I would actually start with this. Our probably one of my favorite people, Elon Musk, when he was at Hotspot. The term that he used, the statements he made, it's kind of very similar to certain terms and phrases that I use in our trainings, in our business management, the business development with our executive team. A couple of my signatures, phrases are like, don't fit for perfection, or the good, the perfection is the enemy of good. So if you can avoid it, enjoy it. So then one of the other things that I would always put the perception versus perspective, or perspective versus perception. And when Elon actually was kind of like was being cornered, he said, look, the reality of goodness, you need to focus on the reality of goodness, not the perception of it. So, which actually tells us a lot, and then it actually lines up with what we do in this program.
Yeah, I think basing off of that quote, what we're saying there is kind of like you can't really hide the actual quality of like a product or service, because at the end of the day, it'll either make or break it type thing. So they were also kind of reminded me back in high school in our weight room. One of the signs that was hanging was, only you would know if you cheated today, but when the season starts, everyone will know. So it's kind of like that perception of, are you trying to like fake the workout, or are you actually putting in, the actual effort required to get the most out of it? So how he's applying that to the business, where I think they were talking about at the time during that interview, Tesla, and how the impacts it's made in EV, and obviously the impact on the environment. And how he was saying that he doesn't really care how he's perceived, it's what he's actually doing. So some people may be supportive of him, or some may be against him, trying to critique him, criticize him. I think what he's saying there is it doesn't really matter to him what people perceive, whether it's good or bad. He's still going to do, I think, what is right. So I think that's kind of like the underlying message there. And I'm sure that can be amplified to various different aspects of, what we do in medical or across any field for that matter.
Well, that's one thing. In many cases, we get in trouble with the common opinion from media, how they want us to think versus what really is happening. So it's not like just because you are powerful doesn't mean that you are right. But so there has to be the fairness, and you have to be also objective. So if you point out the team is naked, someone is gonna say he's naked. So that story, right? So and all this, so when when we saw it, or the pink elephant in the room, and then no one is talking about it. So Elon does, and that's what we try to do in this platform anyway. And that's part of the reason that we are able to maybe have some fun. So speaking of fun, we have lots of fun coming up. So we'll start with the U.S. Politics.
So on this video here, which might be under again the global one, start off talking about, as you know, on our session we did have various guests, numerous, who are running for candidacy in 2024, state of Delaware. So again, various positions. And the one thing that we're kind of keeping as like the underlying theme, like you're saying, is that transparency of put it all out on the table type of thing where whatever they want to share, here's your chance. We're giving you this platform to, be open with your ideas, what you're going to bring to the table, and how you're going to hopefully, if they win the candidacy, impact Delaware for the better. So, one of the things that we're doing here now with this section coming up is talking about who we think, not necessarily who can run, but should there be some guidelines on those who can run? So are there certain maybe requirements or qualifications that you need to have, but also if you do fall under some categories, should you be omitted from having a chance to run? And then,
So, one of the issues that we always discuss regarding this is the age of our politicians. So, someone whose parents are 73 and 83, I'm most likely able to relate to this. Your parents are younger than mine. Right? So, so the way that we look at it, actually, we put the survey out there. We got 94, 95 people responding in 24 hours. The question that we had was, in your perspective, do you believe there should be an age limit for individuals running for US presidency? So 76.6% of the people who answered this said yes, there should be an age limit. So then we follow this with a second question and then ask this: in your opinion, should one be required to undergo and disclose a comprehensive cognitive health assessment as part of the eligibility criteria for the presidency? And even more interesting, this one, 91.2% of the people, there are 91 votes, then they said yes, there should be one. Now, yes, this is only maybe 100 people, but if you take it to 10,000 people, I don't think these numbers are going to percentages are going to change, right? So now, if they're not going to change, then we know that there is an obvious issue that people are avoiding. There may be different reasons that they are doing this, but we know that this is an issue. So I'll tell you something very interesting. When I was in Turkey, my parents, they have their own real estate investments, so they get rents, and sometimes it's in my mom's name versus my dad's name. So one of the tenants didn't do what they're supposed to be doing, and then it's going to go through the legal process. So, we talked to our lawyers, and one of the things that they did is the power of attorney. Very why, power of attorney for the lawyer. And then they said, well, you can't just do it unless she has a mental health, cognitive health report. Well, I say she's 73, but she'll be 73 in January. So actually, she's still 72. I'm like, are you telling me that I can run this country at that age, or I can be 80 and still run the country, but then I cannot give power of attorney to my lawyer to represent me for this landlord-tenant issue matter. So that's why we always question these things. It's not like we come up with these problems and I say, yeah, let's just create some issues. No, this in real life, when certain age people making major decisions, you want them to be healthy. You want to make sure they are healthy. And this is very simple, right? Yeah. So now I remember asking you maybe a year ago or so, if you have kids and if your parents were 85 years old, would you let them babysit the kid? And then I remember your answer. You said no. Why? Is because the risk there. Right, the risk is there. So what they cannot do is different. How they're going to react to certain things is going to be different. And this survey, just our own sort of source, is all they're telling everyone is that Republicans, Democrats, Independents, they are pretty much on the same page, but would they want to do anything? Like when I hear Biden trying to run again, I get updation. I'm like, oh my God, like 82, now it's going to run for another 4 years. He's going to be 86 if he's able to finish it. And why? Like, I don't have that much energy like every morning to do what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm only 49. So like, how is this, what's motivating them? There must be some other benefits that they're getting. So Trump is no different. He's only a couple years younger than him, and now he wants to run again. And I see him like going on and off with the campaign that they really need to just play golf, and Biden can stay at the beach, and I think they need to retire. And now, one of the reasons we are also talking about this, Sean, which I shared this one with you earlier today. There are you cannot be a U.S. president. You, for example, you are 25, right?
Yeah.
So you are not qualified for U.S. presidency.
Not old enough yet.
So that means age matters. So they're requiring some maturity in the position, and in that it would be, and therefore the age of that is kind of like it was different between 34 and 37. None.
Right.
But then it's just like some floor.
Just that
so if you have a floor, if you need a floor, why can't you have a ceiling?
Yeah, if there's a minimum, there should be a max.
So now, US is one of the countries with the floor, 35. And then in India, no floor, no ceilings, Indian style. So in France, you have to be 18. So Germany, no requirement. And China, you have to be 45. Well, does that mean Chinese, they are kind of like maturing slowly, so they have to get another 10 years.
Very wise, but
so right? In Russia, you have to be 35. So automatically, if you are telling that you as a 25-year-old cannot be the president, then I should make the counter argument and say that you as a 75-year-old should not be running for that much. Just as simple.
I think, I mean, obviously, a lot of learning comes through experience. So, I mean, you can read something, you read about it in a book, but until you live certain things, you don't get that experience. So I can understand how there is that minimum where, hey, you at least have to have some sort of life experience, be aware. I think frontal lobe is still developing in your early mid-20s anyway. So the decision making, the long-term effects of weighing in, goal-oriented, that makes sense. And obviously, it's not talked about as much, but as you get older, your brain also does start deteriorating. We know that there's mental health diseases that impact the elderly. So you talk about dementia and all forms underneath that umbrella, where that's just, in some cases, inevitable. It doesn't matter, obviously you want to be healthy and active and, keep your brain engaged at all times. But regardless, at the end of the day, we are still natural beings. So that decay process, as you will, it does end up happening. So that, in a way, is obviously going to impact decision making, processing different things. And like we're saying, it's not, oh, can you, babysit for the day? This is literally the president of perhaps our nation, world.
So
responsibility.
People may be wondering why we even made this an issue, right? So, well, because leaders of their countries, they are in charge of making or signing off on major decisions. And unfortunately, we are going through this time, and you and I, we always bring this up. And we're going to cover some of the global affairs later on. So our leaders are making decisions on people's lives. They make decisions on who's going to live, who's going to die, what are we going to support, what are we not going to support. And if I don't have the best mental health, how am I going to actually make that decision? And also, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, the history is going to actually judge, it's going to be the judge, and then we are going to be saying that, well, that time you just let some old man running all the country and then making all the decisions. That's a problem. We cannot take that responsibility, or we cannot make this so light. We cannot take this so lightly, so that the excuse shouldn't be just because of their age. Yeah, because this can prevent that. Now, you can have a 55-year-old who's a crazy son of a bitch, fine, but that's at least we clean up some of the extreme
invariables,
right? So that's the whole point that we are trying to actually say that's why it's important.
And I think, I mean, if you're going back to that survey question where we said if they want to run for the presidency in the first place, anyone, regardless of their age, I think should have that background cognitive assessment to make sure they are in a sane state of mind to begin with, but also that they are able to perform at high functioning. So it's not just saying, oh, maybe once you turn 70, you have to start taking it. Like, no, I mean, I think anyone should be subjected to it. If you're going to try to take a role of that magnitude of responsibility for the president, I think it's a fair requirement.
Absolutely. So there are a couple other news from the local politics. Do you remember the former state auditor, Kathy McGinnis? So she's actually suing the Attorney General's office for their decision, and I think, and I may be wrong, but it seems like they are going to reverse the decision. Now, this is a couple years already. And one of the things that I'm actually, I don't know if you and I may talk about this, but one of the problems that I see, but when that happened, she was on our show once.
Prior to me, yeah.
And she did save a lot of money for the state health insurance, state employees' health insurance expenses, specifically with the pharmacy side of it. And when news came out that time, my initial reaction was she actually set up, because there wasn't anything major. So she had a daughter who worked part-time.
Yeah.
But I mean, is it like the best thing to do? Is it the most smart decision? No, but should it really cost someone? No, not really. It was during the pandemic, and people made a lot of stupid decisions those times, and it shouldn't have cost her job. But anyway, so now she may be the decision may be reversed, which would make certain things very interesting, especially right before elections in 2024 in the state of Delaware. So I just want to put that out there. One other thing with the local coverage, the statement that I'm going to give you is actually not just for us. It's nationwide, I believe. So a number of people who are dying from overdose linked to synthetic opioids like fentanyl. Daily number of people are dying from this is 150. 150 people every day dying in the United States. And what's also more interesting, in just over a decade, the total of opioid-involved overdose death quadrupled. So now, this is just like what we always say, this is a really strong statistics. It's telling you, dude, like you have to do something.
Yeah.
So we are getting a quality of audio warning on people that we see. I'm gonna turn the audio on and off, and then if I can get the feedback from our people, thank you for sending me that. So I'm gonna change this. Is it better? The audio is better now? Maybe because it's raining. I just got that message from Dr. Erkan. I just want to be sure because it's difficult to fix it later on.
Well, hopefully it was only just recently. A lot of good things today.
Okay. So let me maybe just repeat that part.
Yeah.
Can fix it later on. Yeah. So currently, more than 150 people are estimated to die each day. Each day, 150 people dying from overdose linked to synthetic opioids like that. 150 people dying each day in this country. Now, another statistic that's supporting the opioid crisis is just a decade ago, the total opioid involved overdose deaths quadrupled. Now, what I was saying is this statistic is telling you that we have a major issue. We have a major issue. So if we don't do anything now, then we're going to make very big mistakes. So this is a real issue. Now, this is one of the reasons that, remember, in September, we were going to go out to Philly and do some of our own video production to make sure that, because some of the videos that we see with the from this population is hard to believe. So, and I always question those. But so there's only 30 minutes from here, and we should really still do that. So this is going to affect our future. These people who are dying, there are kids, there are friends, there are parents, there are siblings, and this is a crazy warning. And any politicians who are watching this, I will bring stuff with our future guests. Next week we have Anthony O. Following week we have Lisa Rochester. This is an issue that we immediately have to do something. And as a healthcare provider, I think we're in at least we are more responsible and we may be in a good position to do that.
Yeah, no, that was one of certain thoughts. If you remember going back to, I think it was when Biden approved having like those safe spaces for them to like inject. I think it was more out west, like Portland and whatnot, but just on how many people are just addicted to that, where you have like the medical staff, I guess, to observe. So hopefully it would be a safe high, as opposed to also the clean needles. And
it wasn't necessarily right. There was a block, right? Or
yeah, or like there's a safe space where they could safely, use against clean needles and hopefully not overdose. But I mean, relying on that as a method as opposed to getting at the source. I don't know what the Band-Aid fix versus, but regardless, still a very important issue. I think that should be addressed and hopefully solved to the best of our ability. Because I know we also mentioned too, when you say like driving through, and sometimes some of those traffic lights where you see the people just like slumped over, hunched over. Not every homeless person is on drugs, obviously, making that statement, but sure it does not help one state.
So, should we move on to global affairs?
Yeah, so we have, as you mentioned, the BRICS, part of the global affair, and then also a little bit related back to Elon Musk talking about how the U.S. is hopefully the production of electric vehicles going to try to not rely on China for like a security purpose, and also, I guess, keep jobs here. But I think that's something that was one of the topics we also mentioned. I think it was with Senator Townsend and others where we bring up the electric vehicle and how feasible is it to, I know even Delaware wants to switch to all cars being
which we had some reservation. Right? So if everyone goes to electric cars right now, I don't think there's a infrastructure that can support that.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. The amount of charge, and I know even out west, I think it was in LA, the charging station, the lines like in that queue to get up are just like insanely backed up. Which obviously the line to get gas is not.
Now, we start with BRICS. So why we are going to focus on BRICS? So this is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa started. It is actually growing, right? So the last stats that I have, it may have changed a little bit. 41.5% of the world population, global population. 25%. This is before these other countries either join or about to join. So 25% of the world's total economic output, and a combined GDP of 25 trillion. So, and we started talking about this again about 2 years ago. So we brought up the currency issue and why we have to make certain decisions wisely so that we are not getting in trouble, we as United States. Now, latest updates from BRICS is Argentina, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and UAE.
So, except for Argentina as of yesterday.
Because now they have their crazy president.
So yeah, so they said
He's
that,
pretty interesting. You should actually cover him.
that was only as of yesterday.
He's pretty great. He makes everyone else looks really good. So you need people like him so that you can look better.
Yeah.
So well, Argentina may or may not, but this is still like a lot of strong countries in this. There are six. Well, actually, they are admitted. So that if the Argentina doesn't want to be, then they need to actually take an action to be off. So it's not that they're in transition. So they are already admitted. So that so 11 countries with the total population of 3.7 billion. Now, why is this important for us? And then I always say why we talk about US economy, why we talk about global affairs. Like some issues may look unrelated to healthcare. Well, you're wrong because everything is related to healthcare. So if we don't actually have good financial stable state of mind, then from the healthcare wise, everything else is going to go south.
Okay,
Right. So actually, in the Turkey episode last week, so I introduced the term social determinant of health, and I didn't know what that was in Turkish, but we have a really conflict in phrase of social determinant of health. This is so important now, right? One of the main part of social determinant of health, SDOH, is finances. If the patient doesn't have the right finances, they are not able to follow through their physician's orders, period. So, and this change with the BRICS is going to probably make a big impact on how we live today. So, and this is now happening. It's not like, 2 years ago when I brought this up, and then, I remember talking to you about this, and, you are always supportive. I'm not going to take that credit away from you, but I can see why you kind of question why you're even talking about this. Why is this matter? Is it going to even happen? I had the same discussion with one of my family members that time, and he's one of my favorite people. So I should say that first. But my brother-in-law, he didn't agree with me that BRICS was going to be this strong initially. At least, I believe US dollar is I think the future is going to be very, very challenging for US dollar, and because of that, we really need to at least understand what may be happening. So, people, it's just like most people's understanding of currency is so interestingly, it's not like just you use this in your country. So, in order to buy and sell stuff locally, you have to use these currencies, and US is the local currency. US dollar is the local currency.
Yeah, and also you're saying it's not always a straight X to Y conversion, or $1 is this many euros or this many yen or whatever the unit may be. It's constantly fluctuating based on international markets and supply demand, or what you're saying, the reliance on it. If more people are switching, more countries in their financial system, they're switching to BRICS for that matter, then again the US one would be weakened by that.
And that's again, what I remember is the earlier part of our conversation why people, leaders of our countries, decisions that they are responsible for, why it's important, because we as United States use global currency power as a punishment.
Yeah, those sanctions.
Financial sanctions for other countries, and we were out of proportion whenever we were doing that. So now there is this other group is getting stronger every day. So that is going to actually put us in the US dollar in a big jeopardy. local currency situation wise.
Right, yeah, like you're saying, originally when there's no alternative, it was kind of, you just don't want to put your foot on the pedal too hard, then, people prefer an alternative, but now as you're seeing, they see there is an option.
So, that's again how it's related is some of the big hospital systems have done that same out of proportion type power. But the private practice, well, we had this in Delaware, Christian Hospital, the surgeons, they are still doing that. When we came up with the Accountable Care Organization for Medicare in 2015, Christian Hospital said, well, let's do this together, 50-50, right? Well, we are private practice, we are entrepreneurs, I need to be in charge. There is we never give control, right? Well, then that means you just want my
They don't want to have
work force, but then you don't want me to be responsible for management. So then what Elon Musk said, go F yourself. So that's what he told Christiana. And then they did the same thing with our surgeons. We had a group for emergency calls and group called Surgeons for Emergency Care. And then they start hiring people from us. While we were providing services, we have a contract in place, and they hire people from us, just like surgeons. And then it didn't work out, and then the people, the circle group is 16, this failed, and that's what necessarily responsible decisions, right? They didn't have a able CEO. See, either have 6 regional or 62. But this happens. So that's why these making decisions are always made. So I'm assuming Secretary of State will say Israel said I'm here to Secretary of State, I'm here. I said, I'm not going to say so. You don't get to say that. So you guys sponsor it, right? So these are things there's why the decisions how decisions are being so we are be following these and we have full support also for our friend Elon Musk for giving some advance weeks. But that's something I think we can together. So I know we have our grants on Friday. We have done the live for TV stuff, which will be seen with videos from our other sessions. Thank you for that. One, I will actually finish today's session. We figure out it working. I think it's working. So hopefully, I know we'll fix it. If it's fixable, it's year almost 2024, and the rain does impact your internet connection. That's that. But again, I'm not going to complain because I think we still have a better system here than we have in Turkey. So that keeps me motivated. So hopefully now people can hear. I was just saying that we are going to close the videos. And people were saying that difficult to hear. Maybe it will be fixed later on. Do you want to just unplug the camera? Let's just plug it. We have a little bit of time, so then I don't want to just take a chance. I'm there almost not that. How is this better? Even Anthony said it's really bad. So that means
I think maybe there's impacting the signal of the live stream.
Okay, so he's saying that it's good now. Well, I apologize for the audio issue. It is one of those. Yeah, I'm getting a confirmation that it's clear. So, hopefully, sometimes what happens during the live, it's not the quality is bad, but then when we post it, it's better. Yeah, if it doesn't happen, so we'll just repeat this again tomorrow. I'm kidding. So I wanted to close the session, today's episode, with really good news for us. American Surgery Center was able to get the second license for a surgery center in Woods Complex here in where we are in school. So we got approved yesterday. Anthony and who worked very closely with me on this, Susan Anderson, John, Donnelly, Dr. Erkan, Dr. Musk, actually. But most importantly, our lawyer, Adam Valley, has been with us for 22 years now. There may be a 2-year gap, but he did an excellent job representing us. So I want to also thank him. So American Surgery Center will be in Delaware, as a second surgery center location. And we are going to be focusing on bariatric patients as well as the cardiology patients. We are going to have a cath lab in this. So it's going to be a very interesting challenge for us. But the biggest challenge was getting license approval. And that happened yesterday. All right, so we'll be back with Bariatric Friday, and we'll be also back next week with Bethany Hall, our lieutenant governor who's running for the governor for 2024. And after that, we have Lisa Rochester, our congresswoman, who is running for U.S. Senate. She's going to be with us on the 15th.
Yeah, I do have that image if you wanted to put on the other one as the background.
Which one is that?
So the still image you'll see from last night's provider meeting. Not that guy. Should be just as a still image. The page would be.
Well, it was on the bottom of it, so it can be. That's all I have there. So there's this. That's equivalent. This is the last one that I had.
There, that image.
See.
Well, yeah, so you're true though. Bethany Hall Long running for governor next week. He's Rochester running for U.S. Senate.
Oh, since again, our goal was we wanted to have these two ladies that they are the highest ranked, right? So, we did confirm these just a couple weeks ago, but we chose planning on it. So, in terms of how we had the cycle closing for 2023, I can tell that from the this from the closing series standpoint, there isn't anyone else doing up there. So if any Bulgarian wants to actually get to know people, they are going to want to check out our videos, and we are going to pay those into forward. But it's like I'm going to have that ranked the way that the hierarchy is that we have this Senate. So it's going to be a nice closing with Lisa Rochester. But the next week is Bethany Hall. She's an incredible woman. And she's going to be a great governor, and we'll be asking her a lot of questions. And if anyone has questions ahead of time, they can always send it to us.
Yeah.
So I know I forgot one thing. So I was going to do that in the beginning, but we had technical difficulties. And then you did say, so my office got painted, and I'm thankful for that. But some of the connection issues maybe it's happening because of that. But we have a new member in the UM family, but this is one of our
furry
friends. So
Yes.
Sean adopted a puppy from
Yeah.
Brandywine.
Brandywine Valley down in Dover.
Congratulations.
I drove down to get him. He drove back. Not a joke. He likes to grab the wheel.
You know, I have to tell you, it's an incredible thing that we did. So this is not a newborn puppy. I say puppy, but he's 18 months, or maybe 19 months old. And it was a stray, right? So that you don't know who owned this puppy before. And for you to open your home, your life for this puppy, probably lost all of his hopes. And all of a sudden, he has a home. And I think that's incredible. And I do thank you for that. Yeah, there he is. So
I'm on the right.
we'll bring some good pictures of him. That's a good picture to it, and some recent pictures next week. But as the board member of Brandywine SPCA, that was one of my dreams was if our United medical employees can become part of the family and support me with volunteer events, adopting puppies. I know. I remember Aisha also adopted one. There are a couple other people that they decision, and this is incredible. Thank you for doing that. And we'll be back with Bariatric Friday. Until then, please stay safe. Have a great weekend. We'll see you soon. Bye.